Hey guys, what's up? It's Schla coming back to ya with another episode of Walks with Schla, and I am starting to feel quite a bit of fatigue for basically this entire week. I was feeling a lot of fatigue, and then I feel like Wednesday was a very odd day. I mean, it was an exhausting day because of the traffic. And I don't think I forgot to mention, not only was there traffic in the morning, the longest traffic I'd ever been in, but then at night there was also some traffic. I mean, it was fairly minor, but it still made it longer to get home. So I think it's possible that I got home later than I had ever gotten home before yesterday. And I also, again, was in the longest total amount of time in my car in transportation. Commute. Why did I say transportation? My commute was the long, I worded that in not an efficient way. My commute was the longest it had ever been. So this week has just been very exhausting, but we're through most of it because, I mean, today only has I think we're halfway through the day. I believe so. I think we're halfway through the day, and I mean, we're on break right now. We're talking, so the most of it is over, because then it's really just waking up one more time. That's really it. Because tomorrow I'm not going to stay late, so I'll leave pretty early, and it's Friday. So I think we're doing pretty okay, all things considered. But for some reason, there was a stimulation. I kind of got into a hyper. I've really liked GPT 5.1. And I've really liked doing the episode and paste in the transcript in GPT, seeing what GPT says, me trying to talk back to it. It's probably made the show a little bit more cohesive, although I can't say for certain, but I feel that it's sort of been that way the past couple days, which I think is pretty cool. Because for a while it was really random, and I almost don't even think I like that. I mean, there is a pretty big downfall with the reflection and the pasting transcripts in GPT. It makes it likely that we're going to rehash a lot of the same concepts over and over again. But here's the thing, I actually don't even have a problem with that. I love repetition. I love talking about the same things. I mean, as long as there's perhaps some space in between when they're discussed, and yeah, I mean, so I actually don't even have a problem with that. I mean, you guys might have a problem with it. I honestly don't really care. So I think it's a super fun formula. I wish it was a little more seamless. I mean, even though it wouldn't make as much sense, I could look into the USB-C microphone version of the mic I'm using and just use my actual phone, so that it will be so much more seamless than using the 13 mini and having to connect to the hotspot and then do the thing. The reason why is I have this obsessive thing about not using battery cycles, and that's kind of where it gets to the crux of it. So I want to use the 13 mini because I want to use up the 13 mini's battery cycles. I don't want to use my actual phone's battery cycles unnecessarily, which is definitely going to happen when plugging in the external Rode mic and recording an hour's worth of content every day. So I have this OCD where like I'm constantly trying to keep my battery as close to 50% as possible, especially overnight. Like I always try to calculate how it'll be sitting hopefully at like 50 something, low 60s or something like that. And I really try to be precise about that because not only is it a like a moral ethical thing, but it's, you know, it's true. I mean, the main issue is with the battery aging is not the battery life and the battery health, it's the CPU performance, because CPU performance does decrease with battery health that is lower, and I'm very obsessive about speed, and I like to be very efficient about not being wasteful. So I'm always thinking of these ways like I don't really care about the 13 mini's battery health because I just use it for recording. And my new phone, it's I would care, you know, to be burning it a lot on recording, but I don't know. I'm starting to realize like that actually would be it would really make things easy to just be able to paste the transcript from the phone just straight into GPT, and I don't have to have that extra step of like connecting it to the hotspot. And it just bothers me, you know, because there's that conundrum of the efficiency. That's really what the problem is. So I just wanted to mention that, and maybe we can see what GPT's advice is about that. If I should just forget it and you know, do what's convenient, or if there's something noble to me going out of my way to basically, you know, maintain the good battery life on something that good battery health on a device that like you don't really, I mean, it's the same way with YouTube or music. I usually use my iPhone 14 Plus because I mean it's like kind of junk at this point compared to the 16 Pro Max, but that's fine because you don't really notice it if you're just like having the phone sit and listen to YouTube or sit and listen to music. So I might as well just be using the 14 Plus for those activities. But then when you start to do anything else like GPT or especially web browsing, it shows its sluggishness, and like that's, you know, that's, I leave that for like the main phones. But yeah, I don't know. I wonder if it would be right for me to just forget about all the efficiency stuff and just do everything on my actual phone, just so I would have instant like transcript. It would just be instant, just copy paste right into GPT, instead of now it's like I have to turn the hotspot on, connect the other phone to it, you know, like it's this whole progress. And yeah, I process. I can't believe I just said progress. This whole process, and it's just irritating, you know, and it would be so much faster and more fluid, but my brain is always hyper fixated on like austerity and efficiency and, you know, taking care of things and things like that, that it just gets in a way. It's like a blockage. Now, the main thing I wanted to talk about, and I guess what I would like some dialogue or advice about, is, you know, GPT was right to point out, and I do agree with this sentiment, that, you know, you shouldn't use this idea that you, because it reinforced my assertion that yes, like my brain is very specifically going to be enhanced by AI in a way that it really wasn't tangibly and really isn't tangibly super skilled in maybe like a pre-tech world or especially a pre-AI world. But now that AI is here, the way I speak, the throwing seeds all over the place and having, you know, an AI like elaborate on all the seeds and cause them to grow is like a perfect kind of brain for AI. But it said like, you know, you can't just use that as like a crutch or use that as like an excuse, right? GPT's like, you can't use that as just some excuse to not work on your craft or refine who you are. Like, you still need to do that, And what I want to say to that is that's going to be kind of tricky, because a lot of times when it comes to speaking, there's a huge resistance, and it's very difficult to write a script, read a script, or do any of that kind of stuff. It's an intense pain. I don't know why. It's very agitating and irritating for me to speak in a way where I'm reading something. It's very much like when it's so enjoyable to riff how I do on these episodes where there's no script, there's usually no pre-thought. Even the fact that there's some continuity, there's kind of a slight resistance in my brain, because my brain really just wants to riff. It doesn't really want to have episodic continuity, which again still doesn't always happen. I just think there's more of it now, because it's like a discussion with, I say my transcript, and before it was just I was just saying my thing. Sometimes I'd paste them into GPT, but GPT wasn't really sufficient until 5.1 at actually creating something in terms of some kind of dialogue or advice that's actually useful. Now it seems with 5.1 it really is giving me a comprehensive feedback that I can actually use, and then so it can keep the conversations going and build on stuff for the first time. But that's really only possible because of 5.1. Prior to now, or again, if I was on my own accord, I really just don't have it in me to do those things. To sit back and re-listen to things, and I just can't do it. And so I guess I want to know, is that just me being weak, and do I really need to fight it? Or, how much, because I just can't tell you how badly, a script hurts my soul. I just don't like it. I get very, uncomfortable and stuff like that. And, it's a shame, because what I was going to say is I was reading a previous prompt from GPT, and I typed up a little response. And I thought that that's maybe something I could start doing with GPT, saying I should be a little bit more organized or polished, because I do type things from time to time, but it typically will just get lost in GPT. So something I could do is maybe some of these concepts or back and forths I'm having with GPT, if there was a notable text that I typed out, which in this case I did, I could read it out during one of the walk switch laws. Because that way it's sort of giving a shorter script practice. I'm assuming it's only going to take me not even a minute to read out what I had typed. But yeah, I guess, it's not that I can't type stuff. It's just stuff comes to me and then it goes, and then that's it. I'm not going to be able to write some whole script about something. That's just never, I can't right now ever see me doing that. And it's been like that probably for the last over 5 years of my life. From as far back as I can remember, never really liked typing things out. But now I realize that if I would have had one of these text-to-speech things in school, I would have school would have been so easy, and I would have been fine in school. But it's because it was I'm ready for school now. That's the annoying part, even though it's already over, because school's done, obviously. So it's all shame. It's all very frustrating. But yeah, I found my thing at this point. It's obviously talking, but I don't feel good when I have to write and script and then read a script. It's not, but I do see there's a potential way to kind of get maybe with, I'm trying to think of potential ways, and that's probably the only way is when I'm talking to when I'm reading a thing from GPT and I'm like typing back to it, what is the takeaway, right? Yeah, I'm trying to think. Man, we got the timing kind of off, and I'm trying to have time to read my thing at the end. What was I saying about GPT? Yeah, I don't even know. Oh yeah. So like if I'm reading a thing from GPT and I think of a response and I want to type it, I should take that thing that I typed and save it and then read it out during one of these episodes, because if I don't do that, it's going to get lost. You know, like I'm just not going to be able to save it. So it's like an important thing, right? I don't know. I'm just trying to think of ways, because like I want to try to explain it better too, but I guess I didn't in this episode. Maybe I'll have time to in the next Walk Switch Law. But again, it's that thing where it's so hard for me. Like I get very lazy about speaking in a scripted way, or like thinking to write a script. Like I could never do that. I mean, there might be certain ideas that come to mind, you know, that I want to just write down, or like when I'm reading something to GPT, I might want to respond. That happens all the time, like for sure. You know, there's no doubt about that. There's no question about, like, I do type stuff from time to time, but I really don't see how I'm ever going to be able to sit down and type something. And I've always been that kind of a person. And I think it's why school was such a mess for me, and why, like, in school it just seems kind of underwhelming, because honestly, none of school is really about, like, a live kind of, like, on-the-spot treatment. That's just not even how school rolls at all, if you think about it. Like, school is basically all about, and it's all clustered around all the things that I'm intellectually weak at, which is like being able to focus to write something and then like recall and like reread, and it's just and those are areas I'm very intellectually weak in, and I always have been my whole life. It is a lot of struggle, and I guess it's something I should learn and grow on, but at the same time, to an extent, it could not be fruitful, because it may just be too much of a stretch. But anyways, I'm going to try to execute my idea, and so I'm going to take out my other phone and read what I had typed to GPT, just so I can do this test run, see what GPT thinks about it. It was the response to my theory. I was talking to it about that idea that in order to be selfless, you have to be able to plan well. And people who are not organized and not able to plan are inherently going to be selfish. That was kind of my whole point when I was talking to GPT. And GPT pushed back, saying that, you know, it's not a strict gate. There are plenty of warm, sacrificial people who don't have good foresight. They don't have good planning. And I just wonder if there was enough nuance captured, because I agreed with that, but this was my theory, and I guess I'll just read out what I had typed, because see, even in my brain, I'm about to just go riff on my theory, but let me read what I had typed. Well, I know that, but that was a part of my theory. Order can manufacture good or evil depending on planning and intention. Chaos, a vast majority of the time, only results in evil, or at the very least, suboptimal outcomes, which most of the time are so inefficient and suboptimal. Even if there was kind intent, without order or intellect, kind intentions can easily misfire and spiral into more issues. Yes, there are people who are kind by chance. However, this is essentially entirely inconsequential. Giving a person in need money or resources are fine, but humanity has now been on a trajectory that is creating and manufacturing more greed and inequality. All the random acts of kindness simply don't make up for this. In short, human will cannot be trusted for positive outcomes for our species as a whole, and there is an immense historical and present day evidence. I guess I should have said present day trove of evidence to back this up. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to try that out, read that out, see what GPT thinks about how that is different than potentially my riffing style, because it obviously is. I mean, I could tell even based on reading it, I did like the sound of it. I'm not sure. I mean, if it really was that different, I'm sure GPT would be able to tell what is riff and what is read. And I do like it. I actually love to read. I love to read aloud, but I don't typically have an avenue to do that, obviously, especially in this day and age. People don't really want things read to them unless you're like, a teacher reading to kids maybe. But yeah, it's a shame because in school I actually always loved to read out loud like that, like I just did. But again, it's a matter of I think I'm going to have to start doing that. The moments I do type to GPT, I should probably save them, even though they're little tidbits like that. And at least that will be something. I don't really know, but I'm definitely not at the point, at least now, where I can sit down and write. There's no way I'm going to enjoy doing that. And I don't think it's going to turn out well. I just don't know. But sometimes I have moments where I text a lot. I think it's fundamentally possible for me to be as of now, I'm probably a better writer than most people. It's just not something that gives me any type of allure, and that's really a problem because again, you have to love what you do, right? And I love to speak, I love to riff, but I don't love to write, at least not yet, and I don't know if I ever will. So that's kind of the whole conundrum we have here. Yeah, I get how GPT's trying to be encouraging and say, really try to broaden your horizons, but I'm just unsure of if I ever will be able to do that, because the whole great thing about this speaking has been it's been so effortless and so easy because it's something I truly love. If I were to start writing, it would not be effortless. It wouldn't be easy. I'd probably quit. You know what I mean? It seems like talking's been the only venture that has not gone south. I mean, when I tried making music, I've tried doing so many things in my life, I've never really been able to stick to anything except for talking. So that's proof that there's a true love there. There's a true love for speech and communication. And at least right now, in my entire life before now, there has not been a true love for writing unless it's in a texting type of environment, reading GPT, responding to something that it said, pushing back. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just looking for some more insight, I guess. Anyways, it has been schla, but now it's time to buy schla. So, see ya schla.